not using tap water. This is like rainwater that coming out from your hose because you got a chlorine filter, the water filter, and so your garden would just grow like crazy. Welcome to OK Solution. Thank you for watching today. This video we're gonna focus on watering, how watering benefits the soil, how to do it correctly. And so if you live in the desert like me, I live in Las Vegas, it gets pretty hot, like sometimes over 100. And I used to live in Tucson where it gets up to 120, 122, 123. So watering properly really helps with your garden. So you notice that people say, oh, you shouldn't water it when it's really sunny. It's not good for your plant's gonna die. That's correct to some point. Basically, if you get the water on the leaf, so it becomes round, it acts like a magnifying glasses, so the sunlight penetrates it and kind of heats it up. Just like when you're doing a magnifying glasses on wood, okay? So it's bad for the plant. But should you do watering in the summer when it's 100 and something? Yes, but not on the leaves, just on the ground. Keep it really moist and wet, so it creates like a humidity, a moisture. So it's good for the leaf, it's good for the plant. Not on the leaf, just on the ground. And you want to water it so it's wet. You don't want to overwater it because you're not supposed to water it too much when it's that hot. It's just enough to keep it fresh and so it can start growing instead of waiting. Like when it gets really, really hot, what happens is sometimes people say, oh, in the summertime, nothing grows, it just stays still. Well, I proved that wrong because in the summertime for me, sometimes it goes about 2 foot easily on the plants and vegetables and fruit trees that I have, because summertime they still grow. Wintertime, some of them grow depending on which type of plants and vegetables that you have. You don't want to have to say, oh, that's 4 months of not growing time. You just have to keep the soil wet. Like when you clump it up and you let it go, they still stick together, not like mushy, okay? And you don't want to just dig up your soil and it falls apart. That's too dry. So when it's too dry like that, the insects and the microbe and the worm and the beneficial fungus, they die. And once they die, it takes a lot of time for them to come back. So if you water your garden correctly, everything is just moist enough, the worm's gonna be your little worker. They're gonna irrigate your garden. They're gonna tunnel into the soil and create like pockets where the root can breathe and grow. So the soil is not hard. When it's hard, it's really hard for stuff to grow. That's why you see a lot of farmers, they are digging it and tilting it because you're doing the work, or I'm doing the work. But when you have like hundreds of worms, hundreds of insects and microbes, they're doing the work for you. They're keeping the soil nice and good. But if you don't water it the right way, they all die, or they drown, or they get too dry. So I usually water early in the morning, probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. I set the irrigation, I let it run every 30 minutes. So when it gets hot, about maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I let it run, but not a lot, just a little bit, okay? Just enough to give it like a breather, a fresher. And sometimes when you see that, oh, you need more, then you need to turn it up a little bit more, because you got to push the soil and see how hard it is and how dry it is, because every week's different. When you're living in the desert, 1 week is 80, next week is 120. And that happened to me before. I didn't have the microsystem ready in my backyard. So I'm on vacation and they didn't make it. So next time I did everything right. I have enough microbe, enough worm, enough moisture. I was away for like 2 weeks. I come back, they're still alive, and the soil was all dried up and everything, but they're still alive because There's just so much facial fungus found. I bought like 2 bags of it and put it in my backyard, and I put it close to the plant, and it grows. It creates like an infrastructure, like a highway. It takes the nutrients and then give it to the tree. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't water it correctly, all the highway get damaged. But if it's a lot of it, even half is damaged, you're still okay. So what I did wrong in the beginning is I bought those beneficial fungus, I water it, nothing happened. I water it, nothing happened. I go away, like I told you before, they die. Some of them die, some of them don't die, depending on how strong the plant is. Then one day I noticed I was using water from the house, like we all do. And I understand this is chlorine in the water. And chlorine and bacteria, they don't mix, do they? They kill each other. Well, the water kills the bacteria. And so now I have a filtration system. If you go online to Amazon and you type in garden filter, water filter, it's like so expensive. It's like $50, $60. But 10 years ago it's really expensive. Now I'm pretty sure it's a lot cheaper if you type in the word garden water filter and you just hook up to your garden hose. But back then I didn't buy like that because it's so expensive. But after a while I have an idea, hey, you know who else uses water? The RV. So people who drive around, they buy those portable filters, they hook up to the garden hose at the parks, and then they pump water into the RV. And that's cheap. They're like so cheap. It's like $20 some, $30 for like 2. You know, versus you can buy $50 for 1 if it has the word garden in it. So if it has the word RV or whatever, it's so cheap. So you know, it's so cheap. So I hook it up to my garden hose, and I just water my garden. And the water that comes out is good enough to drink. You know, people say, oh, when it rains, my garden does so well, it blooms. Well, that's why, because it's good water, and you're not using chlorine water, you're not using tap water. This is like rainwater that coming out from your hose because you got a chlorine filter, the water filter. And so your garden will just grow like crazy. You know, nothing can stop it. If you have the right soil, you know, the water it the right way, you know, see it from your hand, that you put the seed in, you put the soil in, you put the worm in, and you handle it. Gardening is like a part of meditation. You know, it's learning how to connect to nature, learning to be aware, to be focused, to realize what's going on. You know, when you learn those skills, that's pretty much what meditation is about. You know, so then you can learn it from the outside, from gardening and seeing it and seeing how you affect your garden and make it grow, and then you can bring it into here and make yourself better. You pay attention to this, wonderful thing can happen. You pay attention to your garden, wonderful thing can happen. It takes time. So thank you for watching. Click on the like, subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Thank you for watching today, and see you on the next video. Bye now.